Chapter 81 of Moby Dick, the Pequod meets up with the Jungfrau, a German whaling vessel captained by Derek de Deer. Captain Derek comes aboard the Pequod to ask for some oil because his ship has run out, not having caught a whale. Ishmael explains, at one time the greatest whaling people in the world, the Dutch and Germans, are now among the least. Derek tells Captain Ahab he has not seen the white whale. As he goes back to his own ship, they suddenly come upon a pod of whales, and both ships lower their boats. The 3 harpooners from the Pequod succeed in harpooning and killing one whale, which turns out to be extremely old, possessing almost no eyesight and a stump for one of its fins. Alas, the whale must die so that it might better light the world for human beings. But as it's harpooned, it showers the crew in blood and gore. When they cut into the whale, they find an old, corroded harpoon embedded in its flesh. But suddenly, the whale begins to sink and pull the Pequod over with it, so the crew must cut it loose. Ishmael briefly explains how various whalers of different nationalities prevent their ships from sinking under the weight of captured whales. The Jungfrau begins to chase a finback whale, which looks like a sperm whale, but it's uncapturable. In Chapter 82 of Moby Dick, Ishmael tells readers that many legendary heroes of old have been whalemen, including Perseus, St. George, who fought the dragon, Hercules, who was swallowed by and escaped from a whale, and Vishnu. In Chapter 83 of Moby Dick, Ishmael evaluates the biblical story of Jonah and interestingly discusses some discrepancies and difficulties presented in the biblical text when viewed from the perspective of a knowledgeable whaleman. The encounter with the Jungfrau shows the chasm of skill between that ship's whalers and those of the Pequod. The Germans fail to capture the sperm whale in the contest with the Pequod's crew, and they foolishly chase after a finback whale, mistaking it for a sperm whale. Ishmael continues on the topic suggested by the meeting with the Jungfrau, the history of whaling. He reasons that whaling has an honorable history, going back to antiquity, and provides as examples several heroes of ancient myth who were, he believes, whalemen. His logic may be a bit of a stretch, though. He says that St. George's dragon was, in fact, a whale, citing Ezekiel's phrase, dragon of the sea, as evidence. Anyway, before he leaves the topic of whaling history, Ishmael cycles back to the story of Jonah, another callback to Father Mapple's sermon.